to my Coffee and Conspiracy series. It's been a while, so I'm excited to be back to discuss conspiracies with you guys. Today's conspiracy is Elon Musk a PSYOP operation. Might be a little bit of a hot button issue, but I'm hoping we can do what the Coffee and Conspiracy series is made to do, have us look at something from a different perspective and maybe spark some of our own research or curiosity as well. So take off your political team sports jerseys and let's hop in and discuss, is Elon Musk a PSYOP? The first question that I have is, how many jobs does Elon Musk actually have? He himself was recently quoted to have at least 17 jobs. And just a simple Google search will show you all the happenings that Elon Musk is involved with. We have Tesla, SpaceX, Neuralink, The Boring Company, which is a company he founded, XAI, and then of course X, formerly known as Twitter. In regards to tweeting, Elon Musk does tweet approximately every hour or 24 times a day. Another source noted him averaging 270 posts, reposts, or comments on X in a single 24-hour period. So very active on his platform, as I think most of us know. Also adding to his job titles, as everyone is probably aware, he's helping oversee the Doge team as a special government employee. And if you've watched my podcast before, you know I really like Catherine Austin Fitts and what she has to say and her perspective on different situations or circumstances or current events. So let's see what my girl Catherine has to say in regards to Elon Musk.
So I always, when people tell me, oh, Elon Musk is so cool, first of all, I would like to point out, I've counted, I think there are at least 30 actors playing Elon Musk. And I'll tell you why. If he's running 6 companies, it takes one person to run each of those companies. So that's 6 people. He's tendering for OpenAI. That's another person. That's 7 people. If you look at the X patterns for Elon Musk, you got 3 to 5 people posting 24/7 around the clock.
Yes.
So let's say we're up to 12 people.
And somebody's gaming all the time.
Yeah. So the gaming is 1 to 3 people. That puts us at 15. Then you have all the events all over the world. I figure that's another 5. We're up to 20. And then you have Doge. How many people? 1 to 3 for Doge? And just keep counting. And you'll get, so.
I'm convinced that's true. Yep.
Right. Elon Musk is a operation.
Yeah.
And somewhere there's a command center. And, and you've got the group doing the social media and you've got the group writing the speeches. And do you know what I mean? It's like a theater.
And you kind of have to admit it. Catherine is all about the numbers. Mathematically speaking, I think it's a really good argument. Everything that Elon Musk is involved in, 17 jobs or running 6 different companies, being a world-class gamer, joining the government to save America and make us more efficient. Could someone actually accomplish everything he's accomplishing in a 24-hour period? So I did have a question in regards to Elon Musk's leisure time. How much time does it actually take to be a world-class gamer? So I had to Google it because I'm not much of a gamer myself, but most scholars do agree that it would take at least 7,500 hours or more to master a specific game. Of course, some people can be a natural at certain things or certain games and do really well just because they enjoy it. But in case you missed it, there was a little scandal a few months ago, and some call it Gamegate, where Elon Musk was playing live and professional gamers had a few questions at looking at his technique and how he was actually playing the game. So let's take a listen.
I have a lifetime of playing video games. At one point I was, maybe one of the best Quake players in the world.
You're actually like a world-class, incredible video game player.
Okay, so these players, to get to 97, had to be playing the game every day for the majority of their day. Currently, what is their highest ranked player? They're level 97, same as Elon Musk. So, he effectively has been playing, pretty much just doing nothing except playing Path of Exile. So let's just go over some of the things that happened. So right away, we see Elon zone into his hideout, which is the area you do in-game content from. And he opens up his bank, and he goes to a tab called Elon's Maps, which immediately is a little bit of a red flag because I don't know why you would refer to yourself in third person, but okay, he does that. Elon Musk didn't play Path of Exile 1. In Path of Exile 2, maps are actually called waystones. And he never actually refers to them as maps. He calls them...
Play another round here. This is a hard level. Waystone.
So it's just kind of weird that he's, again, called his tab Elon's Maps. So almost like someone who's a Path of Exile 1 veteran, is kind of making that tab and be like, Elon, there's a tab there called Elon's Maps. Grab your map out there. I've rolled them all for you. They're nice and easy. He then proceeds to walk up to his map device and go to put a map in. The literal first thing you learn upon getting to the end game is how to operate this map device. You're going to start off at a node, and then from that node, you can go to adjacent connected maps. Now, Elon, he's trying to click.
Oh, he's trying to do the map that's not in the chain.
He's just clicking a map repeatedly, trying to access it. He was not eligible to enter that map.
I just want you guys to understand, this is one of the highest level hardcore characters in the game. He would have played thousands of maps at this point.
Anyone who's level 97 is, and you know, we're talking one of the most efficient players in the game, period. There is no way you would do that. Why just like sitting there like some sort of geriatric old man clicking this node, expecting something to happen, and then he finally kind of gives up after a while and then realizes his mistake. He then goes on to loot items off the ground. He starts dragging them into his bag. Like, I don't even know how to describe to you how painful that is to anyone who actually plays the game. And his bags are full, and he just keeps clicking it over and over and over again. Nobody, not even people who are kind of noobs at the game, do this. I don't even think Elon Musk has done the campaign, honestly, like just based on what I'm seeing in terms of the gameplay. His settings on the map transparency are turned on by default. His life values are turned on. All these basic settings that anyone in the top 100 would do, he is not doing. If you needed any more proof that Elon is 100% boosted, he was playing the game today inside of maps, blasting, while simultaneously on a X space talking to like some far right wing part of some German government. I don't know, some political. Okay, I guess he's just that much of a god gamer.
And it did eventually come out later that Elon Musk has been paying professionals to play for him so he can maintain his world-class rating, which is definitely interesting. And with that little nugget of information, we're going to pivot a little bit and just take a little walk down conspiracy theory lane. Hang on with me because this is getting to a little bit different of an area, but we're going to talk about the Beatles. Okay, I did not know that the Beatles had so many conspiracy theories swirling around them. So if you enjoy conspiracy theories or want to know more about these, I have a link below. But we're going to be zooming in on one specific conspiracy theory in regards to the Beatles. That the Beatles were actually a manufactured band to be a psyop to influence the masses. The conspiracy claims that the Tavistock Institute, which is still around today, and we'll talk about that later, created the Beatles, who allegedly lacked real musical talent and relied on uncredited musicians to record their albums. According to theorists, their fame wasn't earned, but it was manufactured through marketing and propaganda, with Beatlemania being used to influence, manipulate, and possibly even brainwash the masses. They argue Tavistock engineered the band to shape an entire generation's culture and change their mindset. Now let's zoom out for a moment. Where did this idea of the Tavistock Institute start from? So there is a lot of documentation in regards to an organization called the Wellington House. It was a secret propaganda bureau around during World War I and with the design to shape public opinion in regards to the war.
War propaganda bureau, if you like, during most of the First World War. So it gets set up really near about the start of September 1914, so very early in the war. And its role was mainly to influence opinion in neutral and allied countries outside the UK, outside Britain. So for a lot of the time its emphasis was on the United States, but also around the Empire, around the British Empire, and in kind of other countries that weren't sort of enemy countries in the war. So it worked in lots of different ways, producing lots and lots of different materials, and it evolved quite a lot during certainly the first 3 years of the war, when it starts to get eclipsed by other departments such as Department of Information and later the Ministry of Information.
It's also been well documented that this was a secret operation. The public had no knowledge that this was going on.
The way it operated was largely covert. So Marsden was very kind of clear at the start and from the outset that really British propaganda should not look like British state propaganda. He always worked through kind of intermediaries, so they'd work with existing newspapers around the world, kind of feeding stories through. They'd get publishers in Britain to produce the pamphlets and books that Wellington House was sponsoring, and then they'd sort of buy them and distribute them around the world. So it never looked like kind of a British department or, kind of a government or a state agency that was producing this material. And because the work of Wellington House was largely secret at the same time, very few people, even in government, knew of its activities or knew quite what it was doing, meant that it was extremely hard for it to kind of say how it was working, how effective it had been at the time, because you couldn't sort of issue a survey about this kind of thing. So it was quite hard for it to defend itself and to justify itself. But conversely also, the sort of people who were promoting Wellington House and speaking for Wellington House, certainly after the war, and talking about British war propaganda in general, ascribe a lot of success to it. And I think there you almost get the overstatement, because you can't measure it. So, you get very, very great claims being made for British propaganda, that it essentially led to America taking part in the First World War. There's sort of a review of Wellington House happens just before the Second World War, and they kind of say, well, kind of one of its publications helped the Chinese government back the war and so on. So you get both this kind of combination of people saying, it does nothing, it's just very wasteful, it uses up huge amounts of resources and has no known impact, and then others saying, it changed the course of the war.
And we do know from our last Coffee and Conspiracy episode in regards to bacon and eggs that Edward Bernas had been involved with the US government and the CIA to overthrow the Guatemalan government. Let's take a listen. As mentioned in this clip, Edward Bernas reshaped reality. Now, consider the media that we consume on a day-to-day basis. It's often, if not always, controlled by others. Do we truly know what is real, or has our reality been reshaped? These tactics can be traced back to the Wellington House, World War I, World War II, and likely even earlier, and I'm sure they're still being used today. After all, we did live through the propaganda of 2020. And this is where the Tavistock conspiracy becomes a little muddled. How are the Tavistock Institute and the Wellington House connected? Well, from the research that I did, and I'm still learning, I just got a couple books as well, because this was a new conspiracy to me, so I want to learn more, so comment below if you have information, because I love to learn. The conspiracy goes like this. A man named Dr. Coleman, who wrote a book called Tavistock Institute of Human Relations, Shaping the Moral, Spiritual, Cultural, Political, and Economic Decline of the United States of America. And this is what he writes in regards to the Tavistock Institute. From a somewhat crude beginning at the Wellington House, it grew into an organization that was to shape the destiny of Germany, Britain, and more especially the United States in a manner that was to become a highly sophisticated organization to manipulate and create public opinion, what is commonly termed as mass brainwashing, end quote. And of course, he's speaking about the Tavistock Institute here. Their main goal was mass brainwashing. And today, the Tavistock Institution of Human Relations is a British research and consulting organization specializing in how people behave in groups and organizations. They use social science methods, they use different psychology, and I would maybe even say propaganda, but you can go on their website and see more of what they use. I mean, it does seem a little interesting to have a specialty in human behavior. With that bio, of course, this place is going to be swirling around with conspiracy theories. So if an organization and a government wanted to influence culture and shape public opinion, what better strategy than to manufacture the ideal conditions for a beloved, influential celebrity or politician to emerge as a savior? Once the public perceives the problem, one that was carefully orchestrated, this celebrity can use their trusted status to rally support for whatever agenda Big Brother might have in mind. It's also been theorized that the Rolling Stones, the Grateful Dead, and other countless bands were manufactured to ensure they were capturing all the masses. If you get into the Beatles conspiracy, they talk about how the Beatles were supposed to be capturing like the good kids, and then the Rolling Stones were supposed to be capturing like the rebels or the bad kids, so they could basically brainwash both sides and capture everybody. Super interesting. But doesn't this just feel like tale as old as time? I feel like it does. We've known for a long time that the government's been involved in the entertainment industry and that companies and corporations use celebrities. They're very careful with what narratives come out about specific things. They create social trends to help influence the public opinion or public perception, and sometimes even what we're supposed to inject into our bodies. Also, let's not forget that Zelenskyy, the president of Ukraine, was playing the president of Ukraine on TV before he became the president of Ukraine.
Before he was president of Ukraine, he was just an ordinary guy who played the president of Ukraine. Vasily, a high school teacher unexpectedly catapulted to power, takes on oligarchs and bureaucracy. But can one honest man survive politics? Volodymyr Zelenskyy stars in Servant of the People.
And also, Emmanuel Macron, who was the president of France, was a theater kid who married his teacher. And you can watch Candace Owens for more information about that. And just to be fair, Donald Trump was on plenty of TV before he became president. He was involved in professional wrestling and The Apprentice.
I have great respect for you. I have great respect for your tenacity, for the fact that you just don't give up. But Rod, you're fired.
And that's just scratching the surface. I know we've all heard of a lot of different celebrity conspiracy theories over the past years. It's no secret that the CIA has helped shape a movie or two as well. They even state on a playful article on their website, as one of the most secretive organizations in the world, the agency has inspired countless imaginative stories. We've even participated in the development of a few Hollywood blockbusters over the years. In 1942, the Office of Strategic Services was established by President Franklin Roosevelt. The office was an intelligence agency of the United States during World War II. The staff even included Oscar-winning filmmakers. Together, they created OSS training films and documented OSS activities in the field, pioneering the use of film and intelligence for generations to come. And of course, after the war, there was no need to influence the public via entertainment anymore. According to the CIA website, and also I think Wikipedia, this organization was dissolved by 1945. However, they do also state that many of the officers with talent for writing and filmmaking headed straight to Hollywood after their time at the OSS. Also, the Department of Defense has an article on their website entitled "How and Why the DoD Works with Hollywood." This was the most interesting point out of the article to me. It says, there can be tension with filmmakers. While Hollywood is paid to tell a compelling story that will make money, the DoD is looking to tell an accurate story. So naturally, there can be challenges when combining the two. There are compromises on both sides. There's a point where we just have to say no. It's either going to happen like this or it's not going to happen at all, Haid said, although he rarely admitted it comes to that. Production agreements require the DoD to be able to review a rough cut film so officials can decide if there are areas that need to be addressed before the film is released. So this left me with the question, who is controlling the narrative of the stories in these situations? Is it Hollywood telling a compelling story, or is it the DoD somehow making sure the truth is coming out? Still, if this feels a little too conspiracy theory for you, there is also a military entertainment complex Wikipedia page that you can check out, including a list of movies that the organization helped create. One of which is Iron Man, which brings us back to where this all started, our man Elon. Did you know that Elon Musk was part of the inspiration for Iron Man? Take a listen.
Did you know Robert Downey Jr., one of his original templates for the Tony Stark character was, of course, Elon Musk?
As he prepared to begin filming Iron Man in early 2007, the director Jon Favreau rented out a complex in Los Angeles that once belonged to Hughes Aircraft, the aerospace and defense contractor started about 80 years earlier by Howard Hughes. The facility had a series of interlocking hangars and served as a production office for the movie. It also supplied Robert Downey Jr., who was to play Iron Man, and his human creator Tony Stark, with a splash of inspiration. Downey heard some rumblings about a Hughes-like figure named Elon Musk, who had constructed his own modern-day industrial complex about 10 miles away. Instead of visualizing how life might have been for Hughes, Downey could perhaps get a taste of the real thing. He set off in March 2007 for SpaceX's headquarters in El Segundo and wound up receiving a personal tour from Musk. "My mind is not easily blown, but this place and this guy were amazing," Downey said. When he returned to the Iron Man production office, Downey asked that Favreau be sure to place a Tesla Roadster in Tony Stark's workshop. On a superficial level, this would symbolize that Stark was so cool and connected that he could get a Roadster before it even went on sale. On a deeper level, the car was to be placed as the nearest object to Stark's desk so that it formed something of a bond between the actor, the character, and Musk. "After meeting Elon and making him real to me, I felt like having his presence in the workshop," Downey said.
Elon's rise to fame and fortune has continued over the years, largely fueled by government contracts, putting him on the track to become the world's first trillionaire. Has there been a deliberate push to influence the public's perception of him? Let's look at this piece that was done by CNN in 1999 about Elon Musk.
I expect to receive a car that I've just bought, which is called the McLaren F1. There are 62 McLarens in the world, and I will own one of them.
It's $1 million for a car. It's decadent.
Back in '95, there weren't very many people on the internet, and certainly nobody was making any money at all. Most people thought the internet was going to be a fad.
Wow, I can't believe it's actually here. It's pretty wild, man. This is definitely very cool. I like it a lot.
Congratulations.
Just 3 years ago, I was showering at the Y and sleeping on the office floor. And now, obviously I've got a $1 million car and quite a few creature comforts. It's just a moment in my life. All clear. My values may have changed, but I'm not consciously aware of my values having changed. There it is, gentlemen, the fastest car in the world.
There's no shortage of interviews, documentaries, blogs, stories, all telling us great, awesome fluff about Elon Musk and all that he has accomplished. With all the right-wing people now welcoming Elon Musk in with open arms, it does give me pause as I watch this from the outside. And the tinfoil bow-wearing girl that I am myself, I do keep going back to well-documented operations when the CIA infiltrated different groups for different purposes. Just a quick Google search will lead you to Operation Chaos, which was a CIA domestic espionage project that targeted American citizens. It operated from 1967 to 1974. It was established under President Lyndon B. Johnson, the one who took office after Kennedy was assassinated, and it expanded under President Richard Nixon. And I'm going to go ahead and put in a CIA chaos file that has been released as well. We can look at it together. And the interesting part of this document, which I'll have linked below, it says the operation in regards to chaos, primary purpose was to learn of any foreign support, guidance, or inspiration for 5 categories of the US radicals: Black militants, radical students, anti-war groups, underground newspapers, and groups supporting draft endeavors or deserters. And it continues, a secondary purpose, according to the CIA, was passive collection of material relating solely to U.S. domestic radical activities, pinpointing the leaders, funding, and the weapons accusations. CIA agents repeatedly expressed concern that this passive domestic role tended to become an active operational role. One CIA officer said he was disturbed about the domestic spying because I did not think it is the sort of thing that we should be involved in. After receiving an interesting report, he said there is a natural tendency to request additional information, leading to an active CIA role in this country. So friends, in trying to wrap all of these thoughts together, we know that propaganda has had a history of influencing the public perception on reality, from supporting wars to women smoking to completing a social media challenge that looks like it was organically started for people to participate in. And we also know that the CIA has worked with high-profile propagandists throughout the years, like Edward Bernas, and then creating the OSS office. When you objectively consider Elon Musk's daily responsibilities, all he has to do, his recent embrace to the right-wing audiences and his ties to the Trump sphere, the wave of propaganda surrounding him over the past 3 years, and especially considering the narrative where he freed the bird or made Twitter available for free speech when it's maybe not quite as free speech as people might think it is, it really does start to look manufactured and not so much organic. Musk rose to the global prominence at a time when public trust in governments and institutions was severely dropping. His possibly created or crafted persona makes him the perfect candidate to lead public opinion in a specific direction. So here's the question. Could Elon Musk be a part of a long-planned operation designed to influence the public in supporting manufactured solutions to manufactured problems? Are we all just falling for this psyop? I'll let you do your own research and decide. Until next time, friends, cheers!